All right, guys. Good morning, everybody. So, everyone, welcome to this year's Fall Sports Awards. We have a lot of highlights to go over, a lot of success we saw this season throughout all the teams. So we're going to be going team by team. We're going to start with our cross-country team, followed by our middle school boys soccer, then middle school girls volleyball, followed by our JV volleyball, varsity soccer, and then we will be finishing up with our varsity volleyball. So let's start with a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day that you've blessed us with. Lord, thank you for all the families, the parents, friends that have come out to, Lord, just see what their players, their athletes have done this season. We thank you for the coaches, for their time and their commitment, their dedication to their players, Lord, for all the work that went into their seasons. We thank you for the parents, for their support of their athletes, of the coaches, and of the school. And we thank you for the athletes, for the talent that you've blessed them with, that you would continue to bless them, and for the health that you showed and the strength that you showed each one of these athletes. Lord, we thank you and we praise you for it all. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. So first up, we're going to have Coach May and her cross-country team. So cross-country, come on up.
Good morning. It's good to see you all this morning at the same time. So this is our third year of having cross country at Hartford Christian. And one of my jobs as a coach is to try to convince you guys to join cross country, and so that we can grow our program. And that gets a little bit tricky. It's a little hard when it comes to cross country, because I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that it's easy or fun a lot of the times. So cross country is incredibly difficult. It is very, very hard. But there's no other sport where the correlation between your hard work and your results is quite so clear. The sense of accomplishment at the end of a hard workout or a tough race is difficult to explain, but it definitely makes you motivated to come back and work even harder, even if you were at the point of tears or vomit or extreme exhaustion, which we've all been at some point this season. So this sport is really between you and your own mental toughness. There's nothing else there. I can tell my team to run 800-meter repeats, which I do often, and I can tell you to do that, but how hard you work is completely up to you. I have no way of knowing if you're giving it your all or if you're slacking, and I can't make you go any harder. So why should you run cross country? You might be asking after all of that. You should run because there's no greater way to bond as a team than doing something really, really hard together, and that's what we do in cross country. Because we go to beautiful places to run on beautiful trails in the fall, and because we get to enjoy God's creation every day, because on long runs we get to have talks and I get to know all of you so well, and we laugh and we build strong relationships, and because we sometimes take breaks to play on the playground, and sometimes we play extreme duck, duck, goose after practice. And because there's no other sport that's going to challenge you quite like cross country. There's no one to pass to, there's no refs, there's no calls, it's just you, your running shoes, and the road. So next season, you should all come out and run cross country, and I promise you will not regret it. All right, so let's move on. After that little plug, let's move on to our season. So we had some pretty exciting milestones this season for our team. For the very first time ever, we had a full-scoring boys varsity team and a full-scoring girls varsity team. Our girls team had an amazing season. Not only did we win our very first meet ever in the history of Hartford Christian School, but we also placed third in our league championship, And the girls would like to recognize Annie Mae. Annie, will you stand up? Annie wasn't able to run with us all the time, but she practiced. She came out and ran two meets with us, and she ran in the championship meet and scored well and was one of the reasons that we were able to place third. So thank you for being an honorary member of our team, Annie. All right. Their hard work, girls, your hard work paid off every week. I'm so proud of all of you. Our boys team also won several meets this season. They had a good showing at the championship as well. So congratulations to all of our returning boys, as well as Josiah, who is our only freshman this year. On the girls' side, we had only 2 returning athletes because we only had 2 girls on our varsity team last year. So Layla and Mia, and then we added Julia, Nikki, and Abby to complete our team. So congratulations to both our varsity teams. On the middle school side, we did not have a complete scoring team, but we had Jonathan, Irwin, and Tyrese, and Jackson May came and ran with us sometimes as well. And they had a great season. Irwin ended up placing 5th in the league championship, so congratulations to him. I'm proud of all of you. All right, so now on to our awards. This year's boys MVP goes to someone who's been a big part of this team since the very beginning. He's run every year that we've had a team. He's very serious about this sport. And not only does he give 100% at every workout we have, he goes home and runs extra. And that could be going out, having already run a 10-mile run, coming to practice, and giving 100%. Very dedicated to our sport. This year, I also saw him step up as a leader for our team in a very important way. I had no assistant coach this season, so I was often running from one thing to the next, and I often relied on Michael to warm up the team, pray with them, make sure our middle schoolers weren't lost somewhere out on the trail. Never happened, right? Michael has been a leader on our team, and I'm really proud of him. He ran his PR this season, 18:25. So break that down. That's right at 6-minute miles. So I know he can probably break 18 minutes next season. So I'm really excited to see how his senior season works out. So Michael's a strong leader, a fun person to have on the team, excellent runner. I'm so glad that he's part of our team. So our most valuable runner. And on the girls' side, our most valuable runner goes to Layla Poland. I have a lot to say about Layla. So Layla won every single league race she ran this year. And she didn't just win them by a little bit. She crushed them. Like, she would finish, and then a minute would go by, sometimes 2 minutes would go by, and then second place would come in. She also won the league championship by over a minute, set the league record for the 2nd year in a row. Yesterday, we competed in the Maryland State Private School Championship meet, where Layla placed 3rd in the small school division for a field of over 150 girls from almost every private school in the state of Maryland. Layla is an excellent athlete. She works hard every day, but she is also incredibly humble and very kind. She's an amazing encourager to her teammates. She's the girl that when the other schools see her coming, they're like, oh, look, that's Layla. And they're kind of scared, but at the same time, they can't help but love her and cheer for her because she's just that kind of person. And we all love having Layla on our team. So Layla's only a sophomore. She has 2 more years. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. And I know she's going to break 20 minutes. That's the goal, right, Layla? Yeah. And it's coming soon. So I can't wait to watch you over the next 2 years. So congratulations, Layla, our most valuable girl. All right, and then my final award is the most improved. And this award goes to someone who came out this season just to stay in shape for basketball, which is a completely legitimate reason to run cross country. Everyone who plays basketball and doesn't play soccer should come run cross country. But she started the season pretty much questioning her choice, her life decision, every single day, right? She did not love it. In fact, I think she told her mother she was quitting every day of the first week of practice. But we're all so happy to have Abby on our team, and her positive attitude, funny personality, and competitive spirit were just what we needed on our girls' team. So in order to determine the winner of this award, I took the time from the very first meet and subtracted it from the time from our last meet, and whoever had cut off the most time was going to be the winner for the most improved. Abby cut off 5 minutes and 28 seconds off of her time, which is unbelievable. If you know anything about cross country, it's just so much time. She improved so much. And no matter how bad she felt, even if she was sick, like the Tome race, she gave every ounce of effort. You could see it in her face. She was never going to back down. She was going to run to the very end. Nikki and I were just talking about this yesterday. She never quit. She never gave up. And she went from ending her race in tears a few times to her championship meet, where at the 1 mile mark, I was cheering her on, and she turned to me and smiled and said, "I feel so good." So congratulations, Abby Furling, for being our most improved athlete. Congratulations to all of my athletes. I'm so proud of you, and I'm honored that I was able to be your coach. I'm going to miss all of our crunchy leaf walks and hearing all of your stories. So make sure you come and visit me in my class if I don't already see you every day. Love you guys.
We'll now have our middle school boys soccer players come on up on the stage, and Coach Peters.
All right, well, as they're lining up, let me move out of the way so you can see them all. Going into this season, I had over 30 students on my interest sheet for middle school soccer. Needless to say, with a high number like that, we thought we were going to have to make cuts this season. But as you can see from up here, we only had 18 students show up and make it through 2 weeks of tryouts. Therefore, we put all 18 on our roster. 7 of our 18 were 8th graders, all of which were starters. In comparison to the other teams that I've coached in the last 10 years, this team was not the tallest we've ever had, but they were balanced in their play with speed and aggression up front, quality passing and long-distance shooting from the midfield, and a solid wall of defense in the back. While lost and found never ceases to amaze me in middle school sports, this team was one of the pleasantest to coach. They willingly submitted to the coach's decisions and were helpful on and off the field with whatever task was assigned to them. The parents and the assistants were also a great help to the team. Thanks goes to my wife and Mr. Campanella for taking stats during the season. Mr. Gebhardt and Mr. Noah Akers for coming in as guest coaches during some practices, and Mr. Soik and Mrs. Denton for assisting us with transportation to away games. We had all types of games during our regular season. Close shaves, blowouts, and in one case, early on, getting blown out ourselves. We made some formation and player adjustments along the way, becoming a very strong team by playoff time. The boys soundly beat their first opponent during the first round of the playoffs, and in the championship, we faced Carroll, whom during the regular season we lost 3-1. Through some great defensive play, we kept the final game to 0-0 until the 50th minute of the game. I think it was one of the best games that I've ever seen in middle school soccer. Parents who are here, those who are watching, thank you again for the opportunity to coach your sons. I trust that you have been encouraged to see your boys improve over this season and over the years. My wife and I have noticed that we are graduating 3 key families this season who have had at least 2 sons on our team over the last 5 to 6 years. It is bittersweet to see them all advance up to varsity, but we look forward to hearing of their achievements in the days ahead. A special thank you must go to these families for your commitment and support over the last several years. I look forward to working with the 11 remaining veterans that are on this team, and I encourage you guys, since we are losing 7, please recruit even more for next season as we make a bid again for the trophy. Thank you, guys.
All right, middle school girls volleyball, and Coach Klein, please come up.
Yep, all middle school. As you can see, this year we were actually very overwhelmed by the number of girls that came out to our tryouts. With 26 girls, we had enough for 2 full middle school teams this year. And great reason to be thankful again for Coach Terry agreeing to serve as my assistant coach for a second season. We thoroughly enjoyed being part of both the red and white teams. These girls worked hard to develop their volleyball skills and to grow together as a team, and it was just a pleasure to be part of that and to watch the advancement of their skill sets. Our red team was a dominant force this season, only losing 1 game and making their way to the championship, where we took title of MACSAC champions this year. This year, Caitlin and Megan were voted in as our captain and co-captain, and they did an excellent job serving and encouraging their team. And of course, no game would have been complete without Amaya leading us in that calming breath. We promise it works, right? Amaya served as our setter this season. The white team focused on learning the game and positions, and the players on this team are also eager to learn and are enthusiastic about the sport, and we're so excited to see their talents continue to develop as they move into next season as well. Parents, we thank you again for your support throughout this season, and I think Coach Terry would agree with me that it's been an honor to be a part of this team, and we're so proud of what these girls accomplished, and I'll say it again, just looking forward to seeing what they can do in the next year. Here's for passing out.
Next, we'll have Coach Matthias and our JV volleyball. Come on up.
Cool. I think that's everybody. Okay. First off, I'd like to say volleyball is fun. So, okay. All right. I tried to use some AI jokes, but they kept giving me the same ones over and over again. So I had to make up some of my own or kind of modify them. I had a solid 10 jokes, but I'm not going to say them all here. I'll save them for next year. It'll be a lot of fun. But I'll say 3. Let's see here. Why do girl volleyball teams strike oil before the boys soccer team? They dug deep. Okay, sorry. Why did the volleyball player make the most money when working as a waitress? She served with awesomeness. Okay. Chat GPT, it's awful. Okay. All right. Why are volleyball players so good at school? Because they just set the bar high. I don't know. That's what I got. That's a really good joke. Okay. Okay. On a serious note, I'd like to thank Hartford Christian for the opportunity to coach your high schoolers. I'd like to thank Coach Cross for all you do for the school. He's an amazing varsity coach and a good inspiration for me as well. I'd like to thank the parents' support. It's very helpful when they come along and come alongside the girls and help in that way. And I'd like to thank my wife, Tina, for all her emotional support. And the JV team, thank you very much, too, as well. A lot of fun. Okay. Throughout the years, I found many teams had many distinct personalities. This year's team is no different. First, this year's varsity team really liked the sport of volleyball. While that may seem obvious, not all players who are doing the sport really love the game, and these girls really do. The indicator that the players enjoyed the sport was really the last game. While they were playing a very experienced team, none of the players lost heart. They kept playing throughout. After the game, the ref and the scorekeeper actually came up to me and said, "These girls are special. They have a great attitude and never lost hope." That is very rare. And that was really neat to see that, I thought. Second, this team always wants to improve their game. Every practice, each player wanted to learn or build on their skill set. While this year didn't lend itself to too many practices, the girls came off ready to show what they had worked on during the week. Lastly, this is really the most unique thing that I saw. They prayed for each other. I saw the girls huddling around each other at McDonald's after the game, which we didn't require them to do, and they just sought the Lord in prayer. It wasn't scripted, it wasn't required, and as a group, they just spontaneously just started talking to God. This is a very rare trait, even among Christian schools, and I was greatly impressed. The Lady Eagles had some challenges this year, but they learned a lot from the sport of volleyball. For the first time, players started executing a full college level 5-1, calling out their attacks, and starting to learn how to play at the highest levels of the sport. With their great enthusiasm for the game, these characteristics made a joy for them to coach. These 5 players actually moved up to varsity in the middle of the year, which I thought was also very impressive too. Alexa, Elise, Lily, Rachel, and Juliet. And of these players, 3 of them I've coached for 2 years. I'm going to miss them dearly when they move up again next year, or I won't even be able to coach them in varsity. It would be Lil, Rach, and Juliet. Let's see. Okay. As I said before, this team was really I enjoyed coaching them volleyball. This year was about learning how to play volleyball at the next level. It is written, "Consider it all joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kind, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." James 1:2-3. As with many teams, there were many trials and pains, but the Lady Eagles persevered. With that attitude, they may be a force to reckon with on and off the court. And my hope is that they use this training to develop their discipline to follow Christ in the same way. It was a very exciting year, and I'm looking forward to see what God has in store for you next season. Go Lady Eagles.
Let's have Coach May and the varsity boys soccer team come on up, please.
I wish this mic came up like another foot. It's a good-looking bunch. All right, well, first I'd like to extend a few thank yous. A big thank you to Mr. Campanella here for not only his work in the athletic department, coordinating schedules and managing all the responsibilities behind the scenes, but as an assistant coach, bus driver, medic, and everything else needed on the team. So thank you for that, Mr. Campanella. I'd also like to thank Annie May and Caleb Rowland for their role as my managers. These two not only kept the stats during the game, but they also operated the scoreboard and the live stream for our home games. They set up the pre-game drills and really did anything else that we needed from them. So I really appreciate their time and dedication. At the beginning of this season, I wasn't sure what kind of team we were going to have. We graduated 4 starting seniors who filled critical roles from last year's team. So it was clear that the younger players were going to have to step up to fill those critical roles. Even after the preseason practices and our first tournament, while I was generally pleased with their performance, I wasn't sure what the season would look like. This year's team is mostly comprised of smaller guys who play with finesse, but we certainly didn't have the brute size that I had seen in years past. Regardless, I saw real talent and a ton of potential in this year's group. But things took a bit of a turn for the worst when we lost our goalie, Griffin Cox, in the preseason tournament for over half the season due to a broken wrist. Our season was front-loaded with tougher games, mostly against public schools, and we were not only winless coming into our first league game, we also lost another starter when our defender, Kyle Cross, snapped his collarbone pretty much in half in the last 60 seconds of our game against Bohemia Manor. Besides the 2 long-term injuries, the team was generally healthy, and things were going relatively well into the league games. One of the things Coach Campanella and I tried to enforce from the very start of the season was communication, right, boys? Communication. I started to see the boys starting to really play well together and communicating well with each other. At the start of the season, we recommended that the first goal scored at each game be celebrated not on the field, but over on the sideline with the entire team. And as the goals started coming in, we could see that the team unity and building was beginning, and those team celebrations became more and more special as we celebrated on the sideline. Towards the middle of our season, we were in a winning streak, with the exception of a very humbling loss to Covenant Life. But our 2 biggest challenges against Frederick and Carroll were still looming in the distance. I'm telling a story. Are you guys worried to see what happens? Actually, the trophy tells the whole story. Coach Campanella and I pointed out to the boys that when they were on it, they were unstoppable. But when they weren't, well, let's just say it wasn't always pretty soccer in the field. We played Frederick on their home turf, and I remember a sense of solemnness on the drive down. And while we pulled away with the 2-1 victory, it wasn't our best performance. At first, I thought it was the thick layer of mosquitoes that we encountered on the field, but we later concluded as a team that when we lightened up, played our style of soccer, and had a little fun, that's when we were most lethal. Our first game against Carroll during the season was also on their home field, and it was after that game that Coach Campanella and I determined that the first 5 to 10 minutes of the second half nearly always predicted how well we were going to play and whether we were going to win or not. We dominated the first half of that game, but came out playing sluggish at the start of the second half, and we left with a hard-fought but scoreless tie. Because of that, we entered the MACSAC tournament as the 2nd seed, so with a relatively comfortable 4-1 victory over Rosedale in the semifinals, we yet again faced the Carroll Christian Patriots in the championship game. Now, most of you know that this was my first year coaching the varsity team, but I've watched many nail-biting seasons as a parent and an overly zealous spectator from the other side of the field. I watched Coach Peters lead these boys to MACSAC victory for the last 2 seasons, and now the pressure was on a suddenly very underqualified parent who got very little sleep the night before that final game. But with the home field advantage and a huge number of fans cheering us on, we kicked off with the rare opportunity to compete for a 3-peat MACSAC win. As expected, the boys started off very strong and maintained possession right from the start. About halfway into the first half, we took the lead from a beautifully placed shot from way back, way outside the goal box by sophomore Matt Gebhardt. The remainder of the first half was played hard but cleanly on both sides, and we ended the half with a 1-0 lead. But as I observed earlier in the season, our biggest challenge would be how we started the second half. Now, I'm not sure if it was the motivational speeches by our captains, the rally cry of Nick Falco, or the pure desire for victory, but these Eagles started the second half stronger than I've ever seen. Why am I getting emotional? This is bizarre. I'm sorry. It's just in me. Those 11 players on the field moved the ball as one. Now, I mentioned earlier that we certainly didn't have the biggest guys in the league or on the field that Saturday. And I can tell you that 80 minutes of soccer against the bigger opponent begins to wear you down. But I knew something that Carroll didn't. I knew that these boys had been running more, working out harder, and pushing themselves further than any other team in the league. And the last 15 minutes of that championship showed their true nature. Carroll became more and more desperate, but the boys lightened up, played our style of soccer, and even had a little fun out there. Those last few minutes dragged on, but when the final whistle blew, our varsity boys pulled off a 1-0 victory and earned the MACSAC championship title for the third year in a row. Yeah. I still get chills when I think about it, and I smile when I recall their faces when the final whistle blew and they all ran out to congratulate each other. So we had 6 freshmen make the team this year: Griffin, Levi, Brody, Micah, Nick, and Lucas. And I think that they would agree that Coach Campanella and I pushed them pretty hard for their first year in the big leagues. Every single person on this team was selected to be on this team, and they contributed meaningfully this season. Some of these boys up here regularly started, and with our 2 long-term injuries of Kyle and Griffin, a few of these guys played as utility players, and they all did so with passion and dedication. And they all played a vital role in the successful season, but one stood out to me for his work ethic, both before and during the season, his vision and understanding of the game, also known as soccer IQ, his relentless fight against players almost always twice his size, and his innate ability to patch up the inevitable nosebleed and get right back on the field before the refs saw the blood. And because of those reasons, this year's Rookie of the Year award goes to Brody Keys. Jonas, Kyle, Matt, Alex, Devin, and Evan made up our sophomore crew this season, and they were also vital to our success. With the exception of Kyle, who was a defender and injured, these boys primarily were my midfield and attacking players, and they showed grit and fortitude during the rigorous demands of nearly constant moving around the field, followed by bursts of sprinting. As I mentioned earlier, we lost Kyle for the bulk of our season, but when he was healthy, he had a starting position on our defensive line. I'd also like to highlight that from this motley crew, Matt and Evan were both voted onto the all-conference team. This group was especially fun to watch go from being the low men on the totem pole last year to filling pivotal roles and crucial goal scorers. I watched one player in particular consistently perform and produce results game after game. Like Brody, he could also take a beating, get back, and keep playing. He was no nonsense on the field and was key to goal scoring and assists. This year's Offensive Player of the Year award goes to Evan Zink. So as I already mentioned, some of these guys became utility players. I intended to assign players specific positions at the start of the season, but due to various reasons like injuries, a few of these guys played all over the field. In fact, one of these sophomores played every single position on the field, to include goalie, on a number of occasions this season. And he did it with enthusiasm, without complaining, and with an incredible ability to play all of those positions very, very well. And for those reasons, I'm happy to present this year's Coaches Award to Devin Slack. For those of you who have coached soccer before, losing your goalie is a really stressful thing, and to have someone who can step up like Devin did was just such a blessing. So all 6 of our juniors, Donald, Henry, Caden, Colin, Jesse, and Connor, held starting positions for some or all of the games this season. Like the sophomores, these guys came into the season with their traditional positions, but many of them were also utilized in a number of different positions based on the needs of the team. Connor was also named all-conference team, and Caden was named the tournament MVP, which I'd like to give a round of applause for that too. It was a true pleasure watching Henry come into the world of soccer with no prior experience and watch him earn a starting position as a defending right back. I was also grateful for Donald and Jesse Weiskopf's willingness to play those utility positions when needed. They demonstrated the true spirit of teamwork. However, one of my sophomores had a special role on our team. Named one of our captains, Colin was given a much greater responsibility by the coaches. We looked to our captains this year to help organize, motivate, communicate, and lead the team in ways that a peer can often do more effectively than even the coaches. And Colin did it with ease. Throughout the season, Colin stepped up in a variety of smaller ways, like mentoring younger players, but I noticed that Colin was the gel that unexplainably kept the team functioning smoothly. And I still don't quite understand exactly why or how, but I can honestly say that when Colin was present, the team ran smoother and morale was better. I'd like to present this year's Unsung Hero Award to Colin Sullivan. And lastly, our lone senior, Caleb Miller. Where are you, Caleb? Hi, Caleb. Also named captain, Caleb was my stern leader. I looked to Caleb to be my enforcer, and not only did he do it with ease, he also seemingly did it with pleasure. Out of this bunch, I think I've watched Caleb on the field the longest. I think I was thinking it over. I think 6 seasons I've gotten to watch Caleb between middle school and varsity. And it's been amazing watching him grow, both on and off the field. This season, Caleb was immediately given the role of center back, which holds the crucial responsibility of controlling the defensive line. The center back ensures that defenders are where they need to be, doing what they need to be doing, which can be especially challenging during trick plays or trickier plays like free kicks, corner kicks, or the offsides trap. Coming into this season, Caleb had always played an outside defending position, but he immediately took charge of the back line and helped keep our defense strong. Caleb was also my most aggressive defender, which initially proved to be a little challenging until he learned how to adjust his intensity based on whether or not he risked giving up penalty kicks in the box. But he settled into his new role, and I know that our opponents noticed the force on the field that was Caleb Miller. It has been a true pleasure coaching Caleb this year, and he will absolutely be missed next season. But I'm pleased to present this year's Defensive Player of the Year award to Caleb Miller. All right, I may get in trouble for this, but I'm already looking forward to next year's season. But until then, I'd like to end with one final rally cry from Nick Falco. Bring us home, Nick. Do it.
Eagles on 3, 1, 2, 3. Eagles!
Thank you, everybody.
All right, and last but certainly very not least, our varsity volleyball. Come on up with Coach Cross.
Yeah. Well, good morning. The girls are asking me to take in a normal amount of time so they can be late to class. So if I could have Coach Glenn come up here and help me hand out awards, that'd be great. I do want to start off by saying thank you to several people. We have a wonderful coaching staff, and I've been able to surround myself with some of the best there is in volleyball. And having Coach Steve and Coach Natalie and Coach Kelly and Coach Glenn and Coach Klein and her team is an amazing opportunity as the head of the program to surround yourself with people like them. They are dedicated, they are skilled, they know the game very well, and they do a great job with working with the girls. I can tell you there's many evenings where practice ends at 7:30 or 8 o'clock, and we're getting home at 9:15, 9:30 because the girls are wanting to work on their game. This year's team was led by 3 incredible seniors who were true leaders. They led by example. They were loved by their younger teammates. Audrey, Chloe, and Cameron are special young ladies with a ton of talent and a ton of leadership ability. And each one of the teammates, including the JV team, looked up to them every single day. These 3 girls will be missed immensely, but they have left a great legacy and a great opportunity to step up and fill their roles. Key returning players next year, junior Rebecca Mathias and Ariel Nelson, will look to fill the role in those departing seniors. And believe me when I can tell you, this team's in great hands with those 2 as seniors. Sophomores Rachel Bowen, Juliet Sorum, Carly Yoder, and April Dardone will be major players in next year's team, and will certainly be in great hands with them as well. And last but certainly not least are my 3 incredible freshmen. We have Lily Alguire, Elise Vollmer, and Alexa Weaver. These are wonderfully talented, truly talented players who really played a pivotal point in our season. This year's team went 20 wins and 1 loss on the season, with 56 sets won and only losing 4 total sets on the entire year. That is a major, major accomplishment. And if I did the combined seasons from last year, I think we were something like 38-3. And that is really an incredible record over the last few years, and I can't thank them enough. This girls' team was able to clinch their 2nd conference championship in dominating fashion by defeating Carroll Christian in 3 sets and winning each game easily by volleyball standards. At the end of the 24th season, the girls' volleyball team was ranked 3rd, right under Bel Air and C. Milton Wright in Hartford County statistics, which is something I've never known Hartford Christian team to do in volleyball teams. Girls, that's an amazing accomplishment, and that's very well done. Just for the record, we did try to play them, but they denied. They didn't want to play us for some reason, so we would love to have an opportunity to play them. What other statistic is the Tome tournament that we play in every year is a very competitive event that we look to play in every year, and we were able to also win that this year as well. So this is our 2nd year in a row with that. So 2 years the Tome tournament, 2 years MACSAC champions, and I could go on and on. But I want you to understand that the future is bright at HCS girls volleyball. We are losing 3 key players, but I can promise you we're going to come back just as strong, if not stronger, next year. The 3 seniors have really left a mark on this program, and I can't thank them enough for who they are. One of them, I think, is watching on YouTube right now. I do want to give out 5 awards, and this is not easy, by the way. I could give an award to every single player if I wanted to, but we kind of talk to the coaches, and we try to come to a consensus with who we think deserves these. Our best offensive player of the year certainly goes to Chloe Brooks, who's not here. If you guys have had the chance to watch Chloe, she's incredible at killing the ball, attacking, and she really works hard to dominate when she's out there. Without Chloe, I don't think we were near as successful as we were in the last couple of years, and watching her refine her skills over the last several years has been nothing short of amazing. I can tell you Coach Steve has probably got sore hands from setting the ball for her after practice for 45 minutes, and literally we had to tell her to go home. One final thing I thought was really cool this year was the way she finished her senior year. Carroll Christian decided to call a timeout. It was 24-14 or something like that, us, and I said, Chloe, you started this back in the day. I want you to finish it. So Carly said a beautiful set to Chloe, and Chloe absolutely nailed it. It was one of the coolest things I've seen. So congratulations, Chloe, on being our best offensive player. I always give out the best defensive player as well, but I really, really struggled this year, so I used my salesmanship, and I asked Coach Kyle if I could get an extra award for this one, because I think these 2 are the best 2 defenders in all of volleyball in Hartford County by far. I've had so many teams tell me that your back row passing ability is the best I've ever seen. These 2 girls have a blast diving on the floor. Even when it goes out of bounds, they like to dive, especially Audrey. But they are incredible in the back row, and I can tell you many, many opponents did not like hitting against Audrey and April. You 2 are my best defensive players of the year, and without you guys, we would be really struggling. So I can't wait to see some other people step in your role. But Audrey and April, you guys were an incredible pair and certainly will be missed. But we're going to replace you, Audrey, with somebody else. But you will be missed. Huh? A couple years ago, I started my own award. I think I called it the Ella Holbrook Award, and this was basically equivalent to an unsung hero. This is a person who came to practice every single day, worked so hard, didn't play full 6 positions, but played 3 positions on the floor. This girl had a game face. Sometimes I'd ask her if there was something wrong. She's like, no, coach, I'm just locked. She always used the phrase locked in. I'm locked in, coach. And I remember seeing this young lady when she's in 6th grade, and I think she remembers this very well. I said to her, I think you have the softest hands I've ever seen as a setter. This young lady basically also want to throw a little amazing statistic. Out of 152 serves this year, she only made 5 serving errors. That is amazing. Carly's ability to serve, to set our teammates up is nothing short of amazing. And I am so delighted that we're going to have her for another couple years. She's been a great role model for the team and her work ethic. She missed a family vacation for us, which was hard for her. But without her, I don't think we win the championship against Carroll. So, Carly, this is a well-deserved reward for you, and I'm looking forward to your leadership next year and coming back. So thank you. Last but certainly not least is our MVP. This young lady can do everything. She can play right side, she can play defense, she can play outside, she can play setter. If I asked her to play middle, she would. But her dominance on the floor, both in the serving and killing and attacking and passing to her teammates, as well as just overall incredible competitor, is really fun to watch. I always got the comment this year from many people that our team was fun to watch. And one of the reasons they were fun to watch is because they got along so well. They would always just have fun. And that's kind of our motto all year, girls, right? Work hard, have fun, enjoy yourself, and be good sportsmen out there. And we did that all year long. But this year, and I'm delighted to have her back for another year. We call her name, we call her Earl. This year's MVP, without a doubt, goes to Ariel Nelson. I used to coach in public school, and I could tell you I've had some teams that were very talented, and we went very far in terms of trophies and awards and et cetera. But they were kind of miserable to be around, to be quite honest with you. This is like a family to me. These girls are like a family to me, and I looked forward every day, and I told them this. It was the best part of my day. I would literally look forward to coming to practice. They are wonderful kids. They are sportsmen unlike any other team I've ever coached. And I can tell you, when I asked them to be role models, JV girls, junior high girls, if you can do what these girls do on a day in and day out basis, we're going to be in great shape for the years to come. And I know that the girls that are returning next year, you guys will embrace our model and what we do and how we do it. And I can't thank you enough, seniors, again, for all your leadership and all your time and what we've been through for the past several years to get where we are. But I can tell you that we're going to keep coming, and we're going to keep doing the best we can to compete and at a very high level. So thank you very much, and I look forward to next year.
All right, another quick thank you to the parents and the coaches for a great season all around. And let's just give one more round of applause for all the athletes. So that will conclude our 2024 Fall Sports Awards. So families, you can be dismissed or stay. Teachers, you can take your classes and be dismissed, please. Thank you.